Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Good evening. Welcome to your Direct Connection. Coming up tonight, we connect you with the latest advice on preventing colon cancer. That's ahead. First tonight, an invasive species has now spread to every major tributary of the Chesapeake Bay. 81 snakeheads found in the fish ladder of the Conowingo Dam. Joining us in the studio is DNR biologist Joe Love. Dr. Love, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
When the snakehead first came to public attention, it was called the Frankenfish.
It was.
Tell us about this.
Well, you know, it looks a little monstrous, right?
And it's ugly.
It is ugly, and it's got big teeth, and it looks a little, honestly, like a snake. It's got that python color pattern. It's got a flat head, eyes on the top, and it's so freaky looking. I don't think people really knew what to expect when they saw it. So they made a couple of horror movies about it and got people's attention. People got scared, and suddenly Frankenfish took off.
Part of it was that this thing was supposedly able to walk.
Yes, they were
and some
saying
distance, not just flop around a little bit.
Yes.
True?
No, that is not true. There are species of snakehead, the Chinese snakehead, for example, that is capable of moving from pond to pond over land. But northern snakehead's not necessarily one of those species that's going to come out of the water of its own volition. That said, if you were to toss the snakehead onto land, it is going to shake back and forth until it gets back to water's edge. So it's very unlikely. We haven't seen a snakehead legitimately coming out of the water, but we have seen snakeheads move back to water when we toss them on land, and we have seen snakeheads cross the road when there's a little bit of water on that road. So that is possible. Oh, it's an amazing fish. Amazing.
Where did they come from? They're
Well,
not supposed to be here. Let me reiterate. They're not native.
They are not native. They are originally from Asia, Vietnam and China. And unfortunately, they were introduced into Maryland illegally by some individuals. The state actually invested a lot of money into removing those fish from the ponds in Crofton when they were first discovered in 2002. And unfortunately, someone or multiple people introduced the fish again into the Potomac River. And from there, the species has spread out throughout the Chesapeake Bay watershed.
Over what period of time did they do that?
Well, they are still spreading, but it's been about 15 years. So they were first discovered in the Potomac in 2004 by some watermen. And the state of Virginia went out and looked for them, and the state of Maryland went out and looked for them as well. It was found first in Virginia's side, and then later that same year it was found on Maryland's side. From there, we saw this upstream movement of the fish into the upper Potomac, and then we saw downstream movement, and that was a little scary because people at the time didn't think that snakeheads could really tolerate salt water and that the rest of the bay would be protected from the invasion of this species. But that's not true. And research was done to demonstrate that snakeheads can tolerate salt water. And once that was learned, unfortunately, we started seeing the species spread beyond the mouth of the Potomac River and entered into the Patuxent River as well as some Virginia streams as well.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about snakeheads, what to do about them if you catch one, or maybe you want to go out and try to catch one, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also email me your questions. The email address is livequestions@mpt.org. The other big fear about these was that they were going to crowd out native fish.
Yes,
they were going to eat all the rockfish, they were going to eat all the crabs, and we'd be left with a bay with nothing in it but snakeheads.
Right.
But if they're growing so fast, have they pushed aside other kinds of fish?
So some of the first work we did was to address that issue of particularly what snakeheads are eating, and then if there was going to be any competition with some of the beloved sport fish like largemouth bass. In the Potomac River, we have not seen snakeheads push bass out of habitat. That said, there are some systems in the Potomac River, like Nanjemoy Creek, where we've seen a continuous increase in the relative abundance of snakehead and a continuous decrease in the relative abundance of bass. On some places on the eastern shore, we are doing work right now at Blackwater River and we've learned that snakeheads are actually a pretty formidable predator. We've seen a massive reduction in some of the once commonplace species in Blackwater River, to the point of, I just looked at the data actually, about 80% loss in relative abundance of white perch. It's huge. We've seen a change in the aquatic community at Blackwater River. We're still working on analyzing those data, and we should have a report by the end of this year. But the point is, there are going to be some places in the bay where snakeheads may not do as much damage as other places. And so for that reason, we are very concerned about the new places that snakeheads are entering.
Let's grab a phone call. Jefferson County, West Virginia. This is Anita. Anita, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I know that these snakeheads are not indigenous to the Chesapeake Bay area, and they've been there for several years, but are they or have they been found in any other areas or tributaries in the country? And how come they're just staying in the bay and not moving elsewhere?
Great question.
Hey, are they edible? Can you eat them?
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Second great question.
Thank you very much.
So they have been introduced into Hawaii, into a very isolated pond in Hawaii. And now, based on work that was presented last year at our first Snakehead Symposium, I've learned that they don't have them there anymore. They are also in Florida in a canal system, but they haven't broke free from that canal system just yet. But people are predicting that they're going to slowly break free from that. In this area, the Chesapeake Bay watershed, we do see them in the bay, but we also have them in the Delaware River, and they are moving into Pennsylvania because of those streams that get that braid from the Delaware River system. So we are seeing them outside of the bay. For whatever reason, they've done really well here, and now, unfortunately, they've been introduced into Arkansas, into the White River, where they've spread into the Mississippi River, and now people are starting to worry that they're going to spread throughout the Mississippi River basin from Louisiana straight up to the Great Lakes.
Viewer wants to know by email, is it true the snakehead will eat anything that fits in its mouth? Well, it's probably true of most.
Of a lot of fish,
yeah.
And that is true of snakeheads. We've pulled everything, and originally it was believed that they were consuming primarily these soft-rayed killiefishes, and they do eat a lot of these soft-rayed killiefishes. They're still important, but some people don't really care too much about them. But we are seeing that snakeheads are eating perch and bass. They eat yellow perch, white perch. They eat crayfish. We've seen small mammals in their guts. Not many, but we've seen some small mammals.
The mammals happen to be swimming by, or the snakeheads leapt out of the water?
No, they happen to be swimming
hunting.
by,
Okay.
or get blown into the water for some reason, through a storm, or they just lose their footing on a branch and fall in. And we also see amphibians in their guts. They're eating frogs. So snakeheads are very much a generalist, and unfortunately for the aquatic communities in Maryland, this is a very fine-tuned predator with a lot of teeth in its mouth, and so it's very difficult for prey to escape its mouth once the snakehead's intent on eating it.
Call from Harford County. This is Paul. Paul, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi. I was just wondering, have they ever attacked a human?
Thank you very much. I mean, they have a lot of teeth, but how big are they?
So the largest one so far is 19 pounds, 9 ounces.
Wow.
Yeah, we're talking about a big fish.
Wow.
We had the world record out of Virginia broken reportedly this year, but it was actually broken a couple years ago. The world record. So this is a very large fish, and to answer the question, snakeheads won't go after you like a piranha maybe or a shark, but they do have a lot of teeth. And there is a case in Delaware where someone was reaching toward a nest of snakehead, and the parents defended that nest, and that person got bit a little on the finger. We've had biologists get their hands a little too close to the mouth, and they've gotten bit. It's not they're not eating the fingers, but they do get bit to the point that they bleed. And so we do warn people to be careful when they're pulling hooks out of the mouth of a snakehead.
Bill in Baltimore City. Bill, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hi. I wonder, if you're fishing for snakehead, what kind of bait do they like?
Great.
Great question. We have a lot of good information online about that. We do have a snakehead webpage on the department's website, and we've got a video there by Kaz Kenny, who's a waterman from the Eastern Shore, and he talks all about how to catch snakeheads. It really does depend seasonally, I think, what tackle you'll be throwing. They like topwaters, they like creature baits, they like crankbaits, they like worms. There are people who fish with artificials. There are people who fish with bullnose minnows, live bullnose minnows on the Eastern Shore. So the reality is they'll go after a lot of different tackle, but word of advice, I'm told that trying to get them to strike when they're sitting on a nest is very difficult. So maybe fishing outside of that spawning season, or at least not fishing on the nest, would be productive for you.
You want people to catch them and kill them.
Yes, sir.
That's our best plan at the moment, but it hasn't been working that great.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
We had 81 of them at the Conowingo.
That's correct. Yeah. The species has been spreading out. We have seen on the Potomac River reductions in the population size in some areas that we attribute to people eating the fish. Unfortunately, the species has continued to spread, and in part that's because the recreational fishery is so small. Relative to some of our other fisheries. So we're doing some things to try and expand on that. We're trying to convince people that they are good to eat. We're trying to convince people not to be afraid of frankenfish. Instead, fillet it. Put it in a pan, fry it up, do what you need to do, and eat it. That's incentive for taking it home. And we're looking at some ways of incentivizing the commercial industry to try and get snakeheads put out of the water and put into grocery stores and restaurants.
In terms of eating it, I mean, I've read it's pretty good. I've not had it, haven't seen it on the menu.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Coming soon. There are a few select restaurants where you can go and get it. We were working with a chef out of Baltimore, as a matter of fact, and he had it on his menu for quite a while. It's possible to see it, but if you don't see it in a restaurant near you, I'd say go fishing for them, and you'll be able to catch one without a doubt. We've got plenty around the Baltimore area and, of course, in the Upper Bay. And if you do that, just a simple thing to fillet the fish, because it makes a wonderful fillet. It's relatively easy to fillet. I butcher my fillets, and I still get some great nuggets off this animal. So anyone, a novice, can fillet this and get some good meat from it. So I strongly encourage you to do that.
Good advice. Joe Love is a biologist with DNR. Joe, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. And coming up in our health segment, why colorectal cancer has been on the rise in adults under age 50. That's next as Direct Connection continues.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
I grew up in a small American farming town. Didn't have a lot. I lived with 7 siblings in a single wide trailer. I just felt like, why couldn't life be better for me? I remember to this day, I turned on the TV and saw Les Mis on great performances. The music was so powerful. I believed that I can do that. It truly inspired me. Today I have a full-time career, but I also have a dream, to sing in a prestigious opera company. It takes work, time, dedication. Sharing my love for music with people gives me joy. PBS helped me think anything's possible. Now I really know what I want in life, and that's singing. PBS gave me the confidence to take a chance in myself.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box. But the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
Joining us for our Your Health segment is Dr. Andrea Bafford, Assistant Professor and Chief of Colorectal Surgery at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and University of Maryland Medical Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Good to have you. We're here to talk about colorectal cancer, which I understand has been declining overall,
That's right.
but increasing in people under age 50. What's going on?
Right, that's right. We don't know exactly why it's increasing, and still cancer in patients less than 50 account for 10% at most of colorectal cancers, but it has been doubling in rate as opposed to declining, like you said, in everybody else. Probably something to do with dietary habits, lifestyle, rising rates of obesity. These are some reasons we think it may be rising, but it's something that definitely is being seen and has even changed our guidelines as to how to screen people for colorectal cancer.
I was going to ask if it's gotten to that point yet. How have the recommendations changed?
It's starting to shift to 45 for the age of a first screening colonoscopy as opposed to 50, which it was in the past.
And that's in the case of somebody without a family history.
That's right. That's right. So people with family members who have had colorectal cancer are at higher risk, and those people should have colonoscopies 10 years before their family member had colorectal cancer, even if it's before 50. But this is the general population. Some of the societies, like the American Cancer Society, recommends 45 now.
What's the process? We'll talk about polyps. Is that how it always gets started?
Polyps are the growths that are there before the cancer. So yes, the cancers do start as polyps, and we think it takes a while for those polyps to become cancer, maybe about 8 to 10 years. So the whole point in doing your colonoscopy is to find these lesions and remove them before they have a chance to become cancer.
Okay, and this is obviously, it's a major cancer. It affects one of the top cancer
Third
killers.
most common cancer in men and women, and the third most common cause of cancer-related death in men and women.
And if everybody got a colonoscopy when the recommendations say to do it, as a surgeon, you would be far less busy, right?
That's right, yeah.
So there's an opportunity, but the procedure itself has a bad reputation, you could say.
Yes, it's not mostly the prep ahead of time isn't the most pleasant. You have to clean out the bowels to be able to see things okay. There are some other screening tests now available that rely on DNA changes in the stool, for example. There's virtual colonoscopies. So in certain cases, there's other options to the standard colonoscopy, and that may help in some cases.
What are the pros and cons there? If you're able to get somebody, you can't talk somebody into the colonoscopy,
Right.
but you can get one of these other screening tests. What's good, what's bad about that?
So the other screening tests certainly have less prep involved, and then the procedure can be done without any sedation, for example, without any anesthesia. The con definitely, and why I think a colonoscopy is always going to be gold standard, is a colonoscopy allows you to intervene. So if you find a polyp, you remove it right away, as opposed to having a second study or procedure done in order to do your preventative test. And then also, if you could see something and biopsy it, you diagnose cancers earlier.
Let's get to the phones. Prince George's County, this is Nadia. Nadia, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes.
Hello, you're on.
Yes, I was going to ask Dr. Bafford that recently I did do Cologuard, and it did come back positive. My question was, how reliable is Cologuard, and how do I prepare myself for the procedure having diabetes?
Interesting. Thank you very much. Best of luck to you.
Sure. So Cologuard test is quite sensitive. It's less able to be specific. So you may find a change, but it doesn't always mean that there's something there. But it's a good entry so that it allows us to screen people who would benefit then from the more invasive procedure, the colonoscopy. And as far as how to prepare with diabetes, we do keep patients on liquid diets for the most part the day before the procedure. So I think that helps to maintain the blood sugar levels not at a more normal level as you're doing your prep. And then if you have your procedure earlier in the day, for example, the next day, then there'll be less chance of having a low sugar level in the morning. But definitely ask your doctor about that, because it depends on, like, for example, if you're on insulin, we tend to half the dose of the insulin, so they'll have very specific recommendations for you. They'll review your medications and let you know what to do. But it's definitely something that we're very familiar with and adjust accordingly.
Any advances in the prep itself? You mentioned that's an objection for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Has it changed at all?
Yeah, there's preps available now that are very, very low volume. So you're almost doing a couple shots as opposed to having that jug of solution. So that helps a lot. There's ones you can mix with Gatorade, for example, and that's a lot easier to tolerate as well. So there's definitely improvements.
Let's take a phone call from Howard County. This is Steve. Steve, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, I've had regular screening since I was 50. I'm 72 now. My mother had colon cancer back in the 1970s, and this last one that I had, I'll have the next one when I'm 75, and my doctor has said that will be my last one, that they don't screen after your age 75. So I'd like to find out why and why not, and why can't I get one?
Steve, thanks for the phone call. You mentioned there's a long period of time between when a polyp proceeds to become cancer. Is that it?
So that's a great question, and a lot of our guidelines do recommend stopping screening at the age of 75 because you're benefiting less from a prevention standpoint, because again, it takes maybe a decade for a cancer to develop. However, between the ages of 75 and 85 and even older than 85, you really decide based on a specific person. So if you're in great health, you have very little medical problems, very active, I still would continue screening patients over the age of 75. Because you're in such great health, you'll still benefit from finding a cancer early and treating, and expect to do well afterwards with treatment.
So the caller can probably talk a gastroenterologist into doing a colonoscopy. Right. Mm-hmm. Can he talk the insurance company or Medicare into paying for it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons to continue to do colonoscopies, and it may be that you have a family member or some symptoms like blood in the stool, for example, that if you have those things, we do, especially in that over 75 to 85, are a little more selective with colonoscopies, but reviewing any symptoms that may trigger a lower threshold to do the study.
Call from Western Maryland. This is Lisa. Lisa, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, I think you may have just answered my question, but it was more of a case of how is the insurance companies taking advantage or lack thereof at a 45-year-old for colonoscopy and going forward.
Thanks very much. Probably not something you deal with directly that much.
Yeah, I'm less familiar with insurance coverage, and right now some societies recommend the 45 age screening initiation and others don't. So I'm not, as far as insurance companies, I think there definitely is enough data, and having the American Cancer Society recommend the age of 45 should allow for insurance companies to cover.
Is there anything people can do to prevent colon cancer or lessen their potential for developing it, particularly if there's family history?
Yeah, so we've been talking about screening, so definitely getting adequate screening, but other things you could do are dietary changes, a healthy diet high in fiber, lower in animal proteins and red meats. That is shown to increase those things are shown to increase colorectal cancer. So if you're able to control those things, it's helpful. Regular exercise, so physical inactivity, has some association with colon cancer. Maintaining a healthy weight. Avoiding excess alcohol intakes. So for men, it's considered more than 2 drinks a day is excess, and for women 1 a day, so moderate alcohol intake or none, and then not smoking. So these are all lifestyle things that everyone can do to decrease their risk.
What's happening on the treatment side? You do surgery, you do with robots sometimes.
Yeah, so with surgery, we are able to do the same surgeries with less and less invasive means. So robotic surgery, laparoscopic surgery, those are surgeries with minimal incisions. So you're able to do the adequate cancer surgery, but decrease the time off of work, the amount of pain after surgery, improve recovery. We're trying to preserve organs more, so maybe doing less surgery in a way, period. And then from the chemotherapy standpoint, more of the therapies are now targeted. So we're looking at specific cancer genes or the proteins they make or the environment they're in and targeting those specific things so you can individualize treatment. And even with radiation therapy, which we use for rectal cancer, for example, there's improvement. Proton therapy is something we offer that decreases.
Dr. Baffert, we're going to have to leave it there.
Oh,
we
gosh,
appreciate the visit. Thank you so much for joining us.
It was great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you for being with us for Direct Connection. We're back Thursday with Your Money and Business. Have a good night.
Your Health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.